Children have free-flowing midline canals. Free-flowing midline canals. That's what children have. It's what allows them to learn how to communicate with other people and with the metaphysical realm. Have you guys ever heard of children being like, well, I see an angel, or I'm talking to an angel? Or, mommy, I see something, or imaginary friend, or invisible friend, or children that see and hear more, right? That midline canal is free-flowing. Including the angels, things that adults don't see, fairies, angels, mystical things, in the garden where mommy didn't see it, but a 3-year-old sees it. When toxic heavy metals enter this midline canal, which is supposed to be open and free, they block the electrical and metaphysical energetic transmissions between the cerebral hemispheres. So when metals block that midline canal, it breaks up the electricity. It breaks it up between communication between left and right hemisphere. Do you hear a lot of talk about fairies anymore? Do you guys talk about fairies anymore? Who talks about fairies? You guys talk about fairies? You're talking about fairies? Who's talking? Come on. Right now, we're in a time on this earth where it's going anti-supernatural. Even though things are going more religious, but it's going anti-supernatural. It's interesting. Are you seeing that, or am I just seeing that? I did a little thing on fairies in the Life-Changing Foods book, the expanded edition. I hope you guys enjoy it. Did you catch it already? Did you take a look? Did you read about it?
Angels aren't the only supernatural forces in our midst. Fairies are also in flight and are seen even more than one might think. If you spend enough time in woods, fields, gardens, orchards, groves, vineyards, parks, or even garden centers where plants are sold outdoors, there is a remote possibility that in your lifetime, you could be blessed to spot a fairy. When spotting a fairy, it does not compute fast with all sensories and perceptions of the central nervous system. It often registers shortly after the meeting. That's when it dawns on a person that something supernatural occurred. Fairies are on a different timeline. Similar to angels, they don't beat on any normal scale of human time. Fairies are also very quick, so fast that even if a fairy stood still in flight in front of someone, it would not register immediately. The person would need time to understand what was truly seen. Spotting a fairy is similar to seeing the shadow of a bird fly by out of the corner of your eye, where you know there's something in your presence. Fairies were directed by God to be brought here to this earth to help with the seeding and survival of grasses, wildflowers, herbs, shrubs, trees, all beneficial plants that are edible by humans, as well as all beneficial plants that are not edible by humans, and yet still serve the ecosystem, for instance, by feeding animals reliant upon these food sources. Fairies were instructed to be guardians of nature. Fairies have great disdain for the destruction of nature, including the great fires that get started. One of your greater chances of seeing a fairy comes when you're outside absorbing nature, at complete and total peace. Your mind is not thinking about anything that's stressful or challenging. You're not cold, nor do you feel hot, and the weather is at its most perfect. You're not busy, you're not actively pursuing a sport or a trail. You're still or walking very slowly and calmly, and everything seems magical. That is when your chances increase of seeing a fairy dart by, or perch nearby for a very quick moment, or even appear in front of you, or above you, or behind you. If you catch a tiny glimpse, it doesn't necessarily register in that very second. It could come over you shortly after, or later on that something truly miraculous occurred. If you have your own garden or fruit trees, and you're harvesting something like tomatoes or cucumbers or collard greens or apples or pears or plums or cherries, or if you're simply picking parsley out of a potted plant on the porch, and then you're bringing what you picked indoors, placing the food on a table inside or on the kitchen counter, this draws fairies in. Fairies enter through open doors and windows. It's rare that fairies come indoors, because it's rare that a home has fresh food or indoor plants. Many people have packaged food or takeout containers in the kitchen, maybe some old carrots in a drawer in the fridge. It's a different story if someone has brought home fresh farmers market produce, or brought in fresh fruits, leafy greens, herbs, or vegetables from the garden. Or even if they have a few tomatoes, avocados, onions, and apples from the grocery store out on their counter. The process of bringing these foods home and putting these foods out brings fairy energy around, both outside the home and inside the home, because the fairies are following you, attracted to your harvest. Fairies admire the food, watching over it. Fairies love to be at farmers markets where people are awed and sometimes in disbelief at how beautiful the produce is. Fairies like seeing people's reactions. Fairies do not necessarily work for angels. Fairies are very individualized and independent, even from one another, for the most part. Angels know about the fairies, though. They understand fairies and sometimes cross-communicate with them. For example, angels may employ fairies to watch over a family's food supply because the people are reliant on the harvest of food they grow yearly to survive. And it could even mean life or death due to starvation. Fairies aren't normally active at night. They start their day at the crack of dawn, just as birds do. Fairies fly around similar to a butterfly or a bee or a pollinating moth or a hummingbird. A fairy can take a tiny twig and use it as a pollinating tool. If a person were witnessing this, the fairy would be so quick that what would be left after the fairy flew off would be the twig as it fell out of the sky. The person would see the twig land and not the fairy. So anytime you see a tiny twig falling out of a tree, it may have been dropped by a fairy. In some cases, a fairy will break the fall of ripe fruit falling off a tree in hopes that a custodian will come by to pick up that piece of fruit and enjoy it. Fairies leave a positive feeling, an uplifting feeling, and they help someone feel inspired.
The creative gift that we create and we have intentions of is seen by the great divine. It's seen by God. It's seen by the angels. It's seen by the fairies. It's seen by the universe. It's seen by other souls that have crossed over. That's who is our audience. That's who is watching us be creative.